Good morning. I don't want to get up here each and every week and sound very vanilla and bland, but really the formula doesn't change, okay? We got to do a great job of stopping the run this week, and we can't give up the vertical shots over the top of the field. That's what they love to do. We got to tackle well, and we got to try to limit possessions for us getting off the field on third down and trying to create some takeaways. Tremendous respect for you guys. I know sometimes some of the questions come across, and I want to try to answer those questions as detailed as I can. But, you know, last week was like, Trevor Simeon's going to start. Is there anything you're going to do differently? Well, I'm not going to indulge the game plan. So I'm going to try to dance around those kind of questions. So I'm just giving you forewarning. But with that, I'll take your questions.
The Rams do so many things, even though you coached against them. I mean, you always have to be prepared for something you haven't seen yet.
I think so. Sean McVay is a tremendous offensive mind. He does a great job in putting his players in position to be successful. They have tremendous talent on that side of the ball, starting in the backfield with Goff and then Gurley. So they can spread the ball around, move it around quite a bit. So we got to be ready for everything.
What are your thoughts on
that receiving core?
I'm sorry?
The challenge with that receiving core.
Again, not giving up the vertical shots. Those guys do a great job really trying to take the top off. They set the play action up with a good run game, and we got to be disciplined with our eyes and just play our responsibilities.
What are some of the things that Jared Goff is doing well this year that you're going to have to account for?
I think he makes great decisions. I think he does a good job for us really reading the defense and trying to put the guys in position. He's very accurate with his throws, and he's very poised and patient in the pocket.
You been satisfied with the way Denzel has been playing the past couple weeks?
I'm not really satisfied with any of the 11 out there. That's the way they've been playing, because I feel like we can play better. You know, I feel like Denzel can play better, Myles can play better across the board. So we got to continue to improve as the weeks progress, and we got to limit really the foolish penalties out there that's hurting us.
Overview of Myles' start to this season. Obviously leading the league in sacks, penalties, with the whole thing. What's your
I think you just said it right there. There's some good and bad. You know, I think there's some inconsistencies there for the penalties. I know he's just trying to be aggressive at times and make plays. The offsides we can't have. I love the production and what he brings, athleticism and his skill set there. But those plays will eventually hurt us, and that's what we got to try to eliminate.
Busy the other day. Now that you've seen him for 2 real games, what are the different elements that make up him?
I've seen it really going back in preseason. You know, very smart, intelligent, understands the defense, can get everybody else aligned and put him in the right position. He put himself in position to be successful and make plays. So he's good in the run game, very accurate right there, out in space for the pass game. I like the way he's playing right now, and he's bringing a lot to the table for us, you know, helping this defense.
In terms of his tackling, you know, he was the records show that he missed more tackles than he would have wanted to last year. One play the other day, he kind of dove at Bell and had a shot at him. Do you kind of write some of that off in terms of Bell's going to break some of those types of tackles, or does Joe? You know, where does Joe stand as an NFL tackler?
We never write missed tackles off as a whole. You know, we want guys to make tackles, but it's an understanding that there's 10 other guys out there on the field as well, and we emphasize and talk about pursuing the football. And at times when we do miss, you got to miss on what we consider to be the right leverage. So therefore, you're forcing it back to your help. So I think Joe is, you know, playing well. As I said before, I think his tackling has improved from last year, and I think he's only going to get better.
Last year had like 20 sacks, just 4 penalties. What can Myles learn from that type of ratios? Right now he's got as many penalties as he has sacks.
Just being disciplined, you know, and understanding that his greatest strength is his greatest weakness, that he's so quick off the ball that teams are going to hard count to try to get him to jump. They're going to change up the snap count, and we got to be locked in and focused so we don't you know, put ourselves in that position.
Myles about his goal to become NFL Defensive Player of the Year since he got here. And obviously Donald's the 2-time reigning guy. So Have you talked to Myles about, here's some of the things you need to do to reach that level? Have you discussed Donald with him in that context?
No, I don't really try to compare players in regards to that. And I love and respect the individual goals, but we try to make sure that they're all in line with the team goals. And as I stated probably about a week or two ago, if he's the defensive player of the year, we win in a lot of football games. I'm excited about that. So I hope he gets it. And in the process right here, we just want to continue to make sure we're doing everything to help the Cleveland Browns defense win games.
You seem a little, I'm just detecting, more agitated by his offsides than his roughing penalties.
The roughing penalties are going to happen at times. You know, Freddie and I talk about those, is that, you know, we're an aggressive defense, but the one thing we can't tolerate is pre-snap and post-snap. That's, to me, is a lack of discipline.
I know you talked about it last week, but the lack of interceptions, how much of a focus is that for you? And did you think there were opportunities, or how do you create more opportunities for those?
Well, it is a concern. We try to pride ourselves on taking the ball away. Number one, we just got to be closer in coverage. All right, we talked about trying to complement one another with the front as well as the secondary. So we got to get a better pass rush to try to force some ill-advised throws, but we got to be tighter in coverage right there. So when he does force the ball in there, we're able to get our hands on something.
And Richardson, are they still feeling their way a bit as they learn a new scheme and new teammates, or are they close to where you expected, and where are they going from here?
I think they're still progressing. I like where they are. You know, they're doing a great job, really, as teammates, as you talked about, just even off the field and some of the things that they're doing. I love their leadership, taking control there, not only leading the defensive line, but really as a whole defense. So I think we're still learning one another when we talk about for as players, but I think they're moving in the right direction, and I'm glad we have them.
In terms of holding the Jets to 3 and you know, being dominating through a lot of that game, do you even have to remind your team that it was against a quarterback who had little preparation, or?
No, not so much, because again, it's the National Football League, and really the focus is constantly on us, you know, and making sure that we're executing the game plan, putting ourselves in position to be successful. Somebody talked about the tackling, you talk about the discipline, being on sides, and really not giving up the big play. And that's going to really be the key this week. All right? They mentioned already about the receiving core and how dynamic those guys are. So we're going to have our hands full, but we've got to make sure that we limit the big plays.
How much of what you saw the other day was really encouraging?
A whole lot. And number one is just our ability to be able to stop the run early on. I know Le'Veon Bell got some things late in the game, and of course he's just so phenomenal, you know, running the football, dynamic football players overall, in the backfield, out of the backfield, catching the ball. And you get a little bit of that with Gurley as well. So we're going to see the same type running back this week.
Steve, to lessen the chances of Myles getting called for roughing there, do you kind of reteach technique or anything, and maybe have him come in hands high rather than looking to make a strike and make a sack?
I think you got to understand the exact situation at that moment. You know, for the last probably 3 or 4 years, it's been a point of emphasis with the quarterbacks and the safety in the National Football League, which I agree with totally. So we just got to be smarter and understand by being in that position right here, as you just mentioned, sometimes it's just getting our hands up, maybe shoving the guy and you know, doing this instead of just trying to take him to the ground.
With the injuries at safety, do you have to change a lot of stuff if you don't have Demaryius and Morgan out there?
You know, we've been really since OTAs and training camp really trying to prepare some of these backup guys. Now, have they have the reps? No, they haven't had the reps, the live reps, no. But I think for a mere fact of just understanding the game plan, all right, going out there executing, I have total confidence in the backup guys.
What did you see out of, I mean, Jermaine, I think, played every snap last week, and then Eric played a bunch going back and forth.
You guys already know, if you haven't, Jermaine is one of my favorites. You know, I think he's smart. He puts himself in position to be successful. I love the way he orchestrates and really runs the back end for his communicating to everybody. He's good in the run game. He can fit the run just like the linebackers, and he's very adequate out in space as well. So,
what are the characteristics of McVay that you can talk about that don't go to strategy? What makes him
Well, number one, I think he's great with in-game adjustments. You know, I think he does a tremendous job there. Great feel for the game, for the tempo, and trying to create a little disadvantage for the defense, trying to get us back on our heels. So we got to be prepared for it all. You know, we know right now they're going to be fastball, quick to the line of scrimmage. You know, we got to get our calls in, we got to get set, we got to execute, got to get ready to play.
A little bit different, what he's brought to the table, or do you see that with someone?
Well, you see that throughout the league a little bit with some teams. You know, Arizona's trying to do the same thing now as well, as I heard. So, but I just think he does a unique job in really trying to put those guys in position. And a lot of what he does right there, he makes it look the same. You know, so we got to make sure that we're on point in executing the defense.
One of those receivers stand out more than the other?
They all dynamic. When you look at Cooks, perimeter screen game, can take the top off, vertical speed. You know, when you look at Cooper Kupp, I think he can do it all, just from a standpoint of third down possession receiver. You know, over routes, those things. So overall, they're very dynamic in what they're doing. They spread the ball around quite a bit, and I think Goff, as I mentioned before, does a great job in reading the defense and really trying to, get the ball where it needs to be without trying to force things in there at times.
One of the better offensive lines in the NFL, but they lost a couple guys in the offseason. They're playing a younger guy at left guard and at center. Have you seen any difference on film when studying them?
Still running the ball well. They're still protecting the quarterback. So, again, he does a good job right there in getting the ball out. I think they do a great job, too, in not really trying to get Goff hit a lot. You know, so sometimes it's max look, making sure that he can get the ball off and push it down the field.
Road team, so obviously Goff has handled the noise, but to what extent might the noise of a Sunday night game become a factor?
My experience here with the preseason games as well as a home opener, we got a dynamic crowd. You know, our fans are tremendous. It's very loud in that stadium, and that's what we anticipate on Sunday night. So hopefully we can get a few calls from a standpoint, legal procedures and those things, that the noise is a factor come Sunday night.